What's going on, y'all? Back at it with another video. So I've been thinking about this account, and I really just be. I'm not really talking to anybody on this account. Whoever's watching, y'all watching. But it's kind of really nice to just kind of vent and drop content. I can watch it back for myself in the future. I guess I want to just talk about. I want to talk about random stuff. It's like a little video log. What content is truly meant to do. You know, I have an account that gets hundreds of thousands of views and everything like that. But this account, I literally just want to talk. I don't focus on algorithm. I don't focus on none of that. I'm just literally just doing a video. I just want to say I'm really grateful for God and the universe for putting me in a position of where I am right now. Like, I remember working my 9 to 5 job so miserable. Like, I remember, like, when I got my first job, I was like 15 years old, and yeah, I was like 15 years old, and I remember working. I was just like, I can't believe that I have a job. I don't know. I feel like probably had like a lot of low confidence, whatever case may be. Just like, I don't know, it's just so surreal. Like, I'm like, what? I have a job? You know, I was like 15 years old. I got a job. I'm like, that's crazy. I can't believe me. I'm like, I know people are getting jobs. I'm like, me? It always felt like that. I don't know if you guys ever felt like that, but I'm like, it's happening to me. It's like regular thing, but I'm like, it's happening to me. Like, you know. So I got the first job, and it was really exciting. I remember thinking like, I'm like, yo, a lot of people are lazy, because I remember I would try to work as many hours as possible, because at the time all I do at home was play video games. I didn't have too many friends. Well, I didn't have any friends at all. I never was hanging out with friends outside of school or anything of that sort. I didn't have that kind of friends. I have friends where, of course, you know, in school, I would talk to them in school, but I wouldn't talk to them outside of school, you know. So I'm like, okay, I don't have friends while I'm getting a call that's like your president. I don't have friends to talk to outside of school. My friends I talk to in school, I don't text them outside. You know, I was lame, but I was getting a little bit cool. You know what I'm saying? But what had happened was, you know, I was working my job. So I'm like, okay, all I'm doing at home is just playing video games. I can either play video games or I can work more hours, right? So that's really what it was. But maybe the discipline came from just because I had no friends, regardless. But I'm like, okay, I can just work more hours, right? So I remember, you know, I was telling my manager all that all the time, and I was taking my cousin's hours. I would take her hours. My cousin Tatiana, I would take her hours. And she was working. She's like, hey, you know, I was new, so they were like, oh, you can only work so amount of hours. And then she's like, well, I'm working, let's say 4, or let's say 2 to 10, and she working 2 to 10, and then they have me working 4 to 8. So I'm like, okay, let's just switch shifts. You know, she's like, I don't want to work, so I'll just do 2 to 10. You know what I'm saying? And that was like on weekends. And then on school days, of course, maybe like they had me working like, let's say 4 to 10, or like, let's say 4 to 8, like literally a few hours. You know what I'm saying? A couple hours, 4 to 8. And yeah, a few hours, 4 to 8, and then having for her working 4 to 10. And I'm like, can I just take your 4 to 10 and you take my 4 to 8? You know, for the average person, it's like, oh man, I don't want to do this job, but I'm like, I want the money. I first see my first $100 ever to my name when I started working my job, when I was working at White Castle. But I'm like, I was so driven. And then, you know, fast forward years and years and years of doing that, you know, I moved up in ranks. I became a certified trainer, and then I became a manager when I was my senior year of high school. So I was making quite a bit of money at the time, at least, because I was making like $14 an hour, which was a lot, because minimum wage was like $7 or $8 an hour. I mean, actually, maybe like $9 an hour. I was making $14 an hour, and then a lot of kids in my school, they're just not getting jobs. We're making $14 an hour. They're making 10, you know, max, and that's a good job, you know. But yeah, then I realized, I remember my manager used to be yelling, cussing and stuff like that. I would just kind of take it. I'm like, it is what it is. Just kind of take it. Just kind of take it. And I'm like, you know what? This is cool. I remember my manager like, hey, you know, if you here for 25 years, we give you guys a gold watch. I'm like, 25 years? You think I can handle you for 25 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I ain't say that, but I'm thinking out my head. And like, this is insane. And I just started really realizing it taught me a valuable lesson. First of all, I was a hard worker. I'm like, I wouldn't just take my cousin hours. Anybody hours, I'm like, I'm taking your hours, I'm taking your hours, taking your hours. I never ever called off once at all while working for those 3 years. There was actually 2 times I called off, right? Actually, yeah, there was actually 2 times I called off. The one time I called off, it was not even for my birthday or anything of that sort. It was because my stepmom had passed away, right? And I was supposed to work that day, rush to the hospital and stuff like that. I remember I was back the next day though. I'm like, yo, because it was like keeping me from thinking about everything. So I had to just keep working, just working. Because if I'm at home and just thinking about everything. So regardless how sad I was still working. But the first day, I had to be there. You know what I'm saying? So boom, that was the first time. The second time was because I was literally about to quit my job, and I wanted to make a YouTube video, right? I wanted to make a YouTube video because I wanted to get into the career path of doing YouTube videos. And I remember my friends was going to a carnival, and like I could do a public interview at the carnival, and that's why that was my second time calling off. But for my birthday, never called off. Worked on my birthdays, unless the manager just gave it to me. I never requested off or anything of that sort. After working after a year, they would give you vacation time. Of course, after year one, you get 1 week of vacation time. After 2 years, you get 2 weeks of vacation time. After 3 years, it's still 2 weeks after that, right? And I remember you could either take off a week or you can sell your hours. So say, for example, you can get paid $14 an hour. You sell it. That's 14 times 40 hours for a week, right? Or 14 times 80 hours. You can sell all that. You get that extra check. And I remember I sold my hours, right? And then I used that money to buy my mom a motorcycle, right? Or a scooter is how she was traveling to work and everything of that sort. And that literally, at the point of time, like 16, 17 years old, maybe like 16, 17 years old, and I sold my hours. So even regardless, I'm like, yo, I didn't care about calling off. I was working, getting money, just doing what I can, help my dad with bills and everything of that sort. After my stepmom passed away, help my dad with bills and stuff like that. But I say all that to say, of course, I had the work ethic, but then I realized from that job that, this 9 to 5 stuff is really not for me. I remember one of my managers at the time, before I became a manager, of course, she was telling me to watch this documentary called it was called The Secret, The Law of Success. No. It was The Secret. Yeah, The Secret. The Meta Secrets, right? So I watched the documentary. It was on Netflix at the time. I watched it, and it completely just changed my mind, because I remember I wanted to start a business, but everybody around me was telling me, hey, if you start a business, you're going to fail, da-da-da-da. So I just kind of knocked that out of my head. And then when I watched the Meta Secrets, it was like, ignore those people, manifest what you want, and then I did exactly that. So I stopped listening to those people, and I started manifesting what I wanted. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go into the path of business. And I'm like, if I go towards this thing, that's the only way I can achieve true success, because I've done this 9 to 5 for these last few years. This is miserable. All right, so fast forward, I get my first warehouse job, and I know that this job stuff is not for me. I'm capable of accomplishing a lot more. So I remember I set a goal, right? I'm like, I'm gonna give myself 3 years from the date that I started this job. So I started November 5th of 2019. I'm like, okay, I have until November 5th, 2022 in order to be a successful entrepreneur, making 6 figures a year. And of course, by the time I'm 30, make my first $1 million, be worth $1 million, da-da-da. That was the goal. And I'm like, I'm gonna start grinding towards it. But the reason why I did it, I remember, I'll never forget. I'll go on my job every single day. I'm like, how long you been here? People are like, I've been here for 10 years, 15 years. I'm like, how have you withstood this? Like, I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm lazy, because I can't do what you've been doing for 15 years. I can't do that. Like, I can't fathom that, right? And this kind of gets into a lesson you guys can kind of take home, right? So it's like, I'm like, I cannot fathom myself doing this gruesome work for all these years. How have you done it for this long? Like, I cannot fathom it. I'm not going to fathom it. So something I started doing, I learned from the Meta Secrets in the book, some lessons I had learned over the years, is to not even let that universe exist in my mind. I'm like, yo, like, I can't, like, I'm like, if I live this life for the rest of my life for the 10 years, I can't imagine myself doing it for more than 5 years. So I'm gonna give myself a 3-year map. I'm gonna use a 3-year span. I'm like, doing this for 5 years is already insane. 10 years? Oh my God, it would drive me crazy. I'm like, yes, I'm making a lot of money right now. It's great that it is, yes. But I'm like, doing this for 10 years, this is miserable. Clocking in every single, I remember I was working 2 to 10:30, and I'll wake up, you know what I'm saying, barely do anything, go to work, clock in. By the time I come out, it's the end of the day. Like, it's dark. I'm like, this is so miserable. But guess what? I was trying to be as optimistic as possible, going to work, clocking in, working hard. And I was 19, 18 at the time, going in, clocking in, working hard. I made the most of it, right? I was not just going to work miserable. I was happy, da-da-da. But I was the last person to clock in, right? Like, right on time, I clock in right at the time. I didn't get at the job any sooner than I was supposed to. Like every single time I was the last person to clock in. That was just how it was. Like last person to clock in, but first person or last person to leave out as well too, right? Because sometimes I'll do OT, right? Because I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid more for coming in early, but I did get paid more if I stayed later for OT and stuff like that. But if there's no OT, I'm the first person to clock out. Right, last person to clock in, first person to clock out, because I'm just gonna do what I have to do, and that's it. I'm gone. Once again, I'm still a hard worker. Every single time I go into any place, I'm like, yo, I come here to be the best person in this position. Now, I did skip a few different stories. Like I worked at Amazon, then I worked in a place called Toronto Nido Bacon. Like literally, I was making bread, and then I went to the warehouse I'm talking about, where I set the time. I'm like, you know what? I'm setting this time. I hop from warehouse to warehouse to warehouse. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I'm like, I set the time, everything of that sort. But one thing, like I said, I told myself is I am not going to envision a future where I'm not successful, because I'm not going to be happy if I don't have this, right? Where I'm having my own business. I don't know what this thing is going to be, but I know I need to envision a future where I'm not working for somebody my whole entire life. That cannot happen. That will not happen. So I will try to manifest every single day as I'm praying, right? And my mom, of course, was praying for me, to my biological mother. And I'm like, I'm doing it for my mom who deceased, right? My stepmom who deceased. I'm doing it for my biological mother. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my future family. I'm doing it for my future kids. I'm doing it for this. I'm doing it for that. I'm doing it for selfless reasons. I want to be able to travel around the world. I want to be able to just wake up and watch anime all day. I love me some anime. I want to be able to just wake up and just watch anime all day without having to go clock in. I remember, fast forward like a year, 2 years, when the whole virus was going on, and I remember I had caught it, and I had to stay home and quarantine for 2 weeks. And that was some of the best 2 weeks of my life, after start working. And literally all I did for those 2 weeks was lay in my bed and watch Demon Slayer every single day. Every single day. Actually, I was watching Demon Slayer. I was watching this show, I believe, called Erased. I was watching a bunch of different animes, but it was like mostly Demon Slayer. I think that was like around the time. And I was just so freaking happy. I was so happy. I was so excited. I'm like, yo, the fact that I can't do this if I want to, because I can only do it for a little bit and I have to go clock in. Like, it's just too freaking much. It's too much. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I didn't complain, right? I just, went ahead, clock in. But I had the vision in my back of my mind. But yeah, I guess that's really where I'm going with this. Like, no matter what people were saying, people were telling me, hey, you're not gonna succeed. No matter what was going on, my biggest thing was I'm gonna accomplish success, and I'm like, it's gonna work or it's gonna work, because I cannot live this life. I cannot. I refuse. I will be miserable for the rest of my life if I live this life. So like, it's gonna work or it's gonna work. I'm not gonna be miserable for the rest of my life. I know that. In my heart of hearts, I know I can't live this life. So when I tell you guys, I never envisioned having a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I never envisioned it. Right now, if you guys don't know who I am, I don't work a 9 to 5. I'm 24 years old right now, make 6 figures a month, and came from another immigrant, came from Ghana, and to be in this position. And I remember I made my first 6 figures at 21, 22 years old. I made my first 6 figures, right? Hit my first 10K month at 21 years old. Hit my first 30K month, $30,000 in a month at 21 years old. Hit my first 50K month at 22 years old, right? And it was all within like a year span, a little bit over a year, that I was just accelerating. Went from making $3,000 a month, maybe with OT 5K in a month, to making $50,000 a month in a little bit over a year, right? Maybe about 13 months. But I say that to say that just so you guys can know, like, hey, I was able to accomplish this thing that I'm talking about. How I couldn't fathom myself living a life, and literally, I'm telling you guys, I could not fathom myself living a life where I was not successful. It was no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm like, it's gonna work or it's gonna work. I never ever envisioned. I will envision my life, and I'll envision all the great things I have. And as I was literally broke, essentially, because I was still working my 9 to 5. I remember at some points I was living $20,000 credit card debt, because I was trying different business ideas. I'm trying this. I got my real estate license. I'm paying for this. I'm paying for that. And I got into a lot of debts, and life expenses happened, right? Because I remember my car broke down. It was like $7,000 just to get it fixed, like $7,700 or $7,500. just to get it fixed. It was a transmission. Just all type, and my engine blew out too, and that was in 3,000 or like 2,000, something like that too. So I'm like, literally, all some crazy things happen, and no matter what, I'm like, yo, it's gonna work or it's gonna work. I'm like, I cannot live this life. And just to kind of show you how optimistic, how much I had to brainwash myself to be delusional as possible. When I was in $20,000 of credit card debt at the age of 20 years old, that made me excited. That made my blood so like boil with excitement, because I'm like, yo, it's impossible for me to pay this debt off with what I'm making right now, right? I'm like, we only have OT certain times of the year. With OT, I'm making $5K a month. On average, I'm making $3,000 a month if I'm not calling off, right? Maybe like $2,500 a month with no OT. $2,500 a month with no OT at the time. Yeah, $2,500 a month with no OT. That's after tax, of course. So I'm like, how in the world am I gonna pay off $20,000 credit card debt? I'm like, you know what this means? This means the universe, God is prepping me to make $20,000 in a single month, y'all. That's literally how delusional I had to be. I don't know anybody who was making that kind of money at all. I was 20 years old, right? That's how I'm thinking that. Of course, they make that money since I was 21. And guess what, y'all? I hit the time when I quit my job maybe 3 months before the date I set. 3-4 months before the dates I set, y'all, right? And I was delusional. I remember the beginning of that year, I was nowhere near accomplishing that goal. And guess what? Once again, I was so delusional. I was like, hey, I don't know. I'm like, damn. Like, at first, I started sweating. Like, yo, the date I set is coming. It's approaching. I'm like, it's been 2 years. I haven't accomplished really anything because I don't have a successful business right now. You know, I can't quit my job. I'm nowhere near from quitting my job. I don't have a business that's bringing me consistent money every single month. That's not happening. So I'm like, this means something grand is gonna happen. That something magical is gonna happen this year. And guess what, y'all? It did, because I never lost hope. I was optimistic. I had the mindset. I had the mentality. I had the drive. I was working for it, and I never lost hope. I was very optimistic. Now, some of y'all be delusional a little bit, maybe too much delusion, but you know, it can't. A little too much delusion can't hurt. Be like, oh, I want to be successful next month. No, I've been building for years and years and years. I gave myself 3 years, 3 years to quit my job, 3 years. And I was able to do it within 3 years. I'm like, I should have set 1 year. It would have really, set that fire up. I would have been doing whatever. Because I'm like, yo, this is my last year. I got to do something. Like, it ignited that fire, right? So I was doing, I'm going to do it. But, yeah, literally, I never lost hope. I set the goal. It was very delusional. Everybody was going like, oh, no, don't do this. I even brought it up to my dad. He was like, nope, just work this job. This is not a good idea. It's not going to go right. It's going to fail. This is a little side hustle. You make a little extra money, but stuff like this is not realistic. And I'm like, I don't care. Only I know what I want. Only I can accomplish this thing. I'm the person who wants this thing, so I got to go for it. And I'm like, I got to bet on myself. That's literally it. I got to bet on myself. And, yeah, from delusion to riches, right? And I went from, broke realms to realms of riches, right? I want y'all to remember that, right? You guys are in the broke realms right now. You have to switch your realm, hop into a realm of riches, and then the money will come to you. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this, or for the people that's watching. If you are, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I just want to give you guys this, not to brag or anything, that's sort of just kind of tell you guys my story so we can have a deeper connection through this camera. And of course, I can watch this later on in the future, just kind of see where I am. Maybe show this video even to my future kids so they know where their dad come from. Right? I don't have any kids right now, but they can know where their dad came from, right? And also, these type of videos help me with my speech. I'm on a mission to become the best version of myself, right? And that includes working on my speech. I stutter. I'm a professional stutterer right now. I stutter a lot. But, man, I love content. I love God. I love the universe. I love working. I love relaxing, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm a hard-working, lazy person, because I work hard so I can be lazy. I'm gonna work hard so I can be able to be lazy, lay in bed, and watch anime all day. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.